go 7 games. And so now the body of work that you put in throughout the summer can prepare you for that, knowing exactly what you're facing, how difficult it can be, the conditioning level you have to have, the focus you have to have, the intensity and intention you have to have when you're playing the game. And then on top of that, does it change if you have home court, if you play game 7 at home? And so people continue to talk about it. That random game in January on a Tuesday where you're tired, it might be a back-to-back. You have to realize that that can possibly be the difference maker in May. You know, so I think that's very important for us.
Baby girl, you are so pretty, 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 pretty. Baby girl, you are so...
I asked Jeff a similar question. How do you set expectations for a season?
It's about the growth and development of these guys getting better. I think that's what we've set. You know, they had the experience of a game 7, so I'll go back to, you know, what Dan asked. It's the ability to focus and concentrate on, did you improve your individual level this summer and knowing what you're capable of doing? And then the other side of it is, as a team, are we holding ourselves to the Magic standard? And we've said from day one, what we do is, like, we're going to play defense. We're going to be a defensive team first. Secondly, are we doing it with the amount of detail, attention to detail? And the third part is, are you doing it with a level of joy and fun? Because yes, we understand that the wins and losses come, but we have to be able to enjoy the game as a group together, that this group has continued to do.
You talk about this team going through the playoff experience the first time you're learning some of those lessons. How will you draw on your experience being part of the perennial playoff team to kind of teach them or get them to understand what it takes to be consistent year over year, not just day to day, game to game?
Well, the great part about, you know, adding, you know, KCP as well as Corey Joseph, you know, with playoff experience, championship experience, you understand what the day-to-day means. You know, the practices, why the importance of focusing on the attention to details, why the extra conditioning matters. All those small pieces matter later in the year, but we don't want to get into the thought of the final product so much that we forget about enjoying the process of what we're doing and how we continue to grow and get better.
What did you say to Franz after Game 7 last year? He was obviously, he took a lot of the blame for that. What do you think he learned from that as far as...
You know, Franz, being one of the most competitive people I've been around, with one of the highest IQs of basketball I've been around, he's able to grasp moments and, again, reflect on whatever was good or bad and grow from it. And so the great part about him is you know, he's going to continue to trust the process of what he's able to do and what he means to this team. And so he put the body of work in this summer to continue to grow, to continue to get better, to continue to push our guys as well as himself to continue to get better. So it's just constant encouragement of who he is and what he means to this team.
What does a successful season look like for Tristan?
I think training camp is going to say a lot of that. I think as we move into training camp, being able to see what a young man who's played 4 years of college, played summer league for us, just continued growth. I think we're in the business of growing and developing these young men into the best players that they can be on and off the court. And so every person's level is a little different. You know, you're not going to ask a year 4 player to do what a rookie's going to do. So his level is going to depend on how we see and what he does during training camp.
Jamahl, you spoke a lot about the player development, but you personally, this being your 4th year as a head coach, having the experience that you have now, what have you kind of learned about yourself over the first 3 years, and how are you planning to apply it this year?
Just continuing to lean on our staff and lean on these guys to grow and get better, just the same way that like you just said, I have to do the same. But what I've learned in this position is just to continue to empower those around me and help them reach what they're trying to achieve. Because that's a coach's job, is to put the guys and staff and players in the best position to be successful. And the more that we can do that, the better we'll be. And so just trusting our guys, keeping it a true partnership in what we're growing and what we're building.
Just to kind of touch on that, when it comes to growth over, you know, with this team, obviously a ton of growth, but over the off season, what have you focused on personally when it comes to growth, personally and as a coach?
Well, first, it was spending as much time as I possibly could with my family, because we know as this 82-game stretch hits, you don't get a lot of that time. So just making sure I was intentional about the time I was able to spend with my wife and my kids, being able to travel and do the things that are most important in life. And then the second piece of that, the growth again comes from me by being able to empower those around me. I will say that till I can't say it anymore, because at some point we all had somebody lift us up. And so I want to be able to make sure we are that for our staff, we are that for our players, to help them reach their level of greatness, because it's a short window for a lot of these guys to be able to play in the league, to do the things that we're trying to do. And I think the more that we can lift these guys up to do that, the better we will be.
Coach, you mentioned player development. Would you say continuity is kind of your biggest weapon here in this offseason, right?
Well, just being able to add a couple pieces, but these guys being together, their ability to stay together. Like, they spent some time together in California as a group that was organized by them. And I think that is so important for this group to do. And it goes a long way. Like you said, we're with this group 82 games and on, more than you are with your family. So our ability to know each other, to communicate the right way, to communicate the right message, to stay together through the ups and downs of the season is going to be very important.
Coach, you consistently are bringing up body of work, and two of your younger guys in AB and Jet consistently have prided themselves on being in the gym day in and day out. What have you seen from them this offseason, and what's the next steps for both of them this upcoming season?
Just continued growth. They've been in the gym all summer, and that's what you love to see. They understand, part of that Game 7 and part of playoff basketball changes the mindset of what you're able and capable of doing. And when you just get to the brink of where, you could possibly advance, you understand the body of work that you need to do throughout the summer. And I think they felt and experienced that. And so their ability to get in the gym and be with our coaches who have done a tremendous job with them to help them see what they're capable of is very big.
How important is it for, you and your guys were at the UCF Colorado game Saturday, just to do...
Which part?
Were you happier for Colorado or more sad for you?
It's funny. I'm happy because I'll root for CU in that game, but I love what UCF does and how they play and what they've done there. So it was so important for our group of guys to be there together. I think the more we can do things off the court together, the better it makes us. And it's the subtle things, it's the little things, it's the camaraderie, it's the chemistry of being able to grow that, knowing, yes, we play the game of basketball, but, it's bigger than that, being able to connect with each other off the court.
Coach, last season was amazing here at Kia Center. What do you have to do to keep that consistency at home?
Defend. I think it's got to be about us hanging our hat on the defensive end of the floor, understanding how great our crowd is, how great our fans are, how great our support is. If we walk back into Game 3 at home, the energy was amazing. Game 6 was unbelievable. Just knowing that it's a closeout game for them and our ability to drive and be fueled by the energy of our home crowd.
Coach, how much of an increased responsibility might we see from Jalen Suggs with the offense this year?
There's going to be significant amount. And what I think it is just his ability to, control the game, control the pace, settle us down. He's done such a tremendous job this summer of working on his game, his spirit, his energy, his body of work, of what he needs to do. And I think, again, I go back to the beauty and the tough part about a Game 7 is that, you can advance and want to advance, but the experience, if you're willing to reflect on it, there's a lot of things you can take away, and that's what he's done.
Jamahl, you've got KCP in now, and you've got young guards another year older. How much are you looking forward to training camp battles in the fight for minutes?
I cannot be more excited. I think there's something to be said about every single day of practice possibly being harder than the games can be played.
Talked a lot about the continuity this team has, but guys are still going to maybe have some different roles. Their skills will expand. How do you balance making sure you guys are still doing the things that were able to win you games last year, but allowing players to expand and kind of grow their roles and find themselves as young players?
Well, we keep talking about the magic standard and being able to go where we did in the playoffs for that that moment. I think the standard has been is raised up bar, and so with that being said, what we're going to ask of these guys is going to be a little higher. The same mistakes you're not allowing, because we understand that those possessions and those situations can cost you ball games. So the standard for the younger guys is now being raised higher, and the expectation level for them is higher. But again, their paths are different than, say, what Paulo's is. So the growth is different for each player in each situation.
Ron's got his extension this summer. Just where does the next step in his development and his growth take us in that first year?
Well, I've said it before, and I just really truly believe that the reason he gets that extension is because of the person and the young man and the work ethic and the professional that he is. And so he just has to continue to be who he is. And what he has done has been enough. And he's going to continue to grow into more playmaking, more shooting, more driving, more attacking, more making his teammates around him better. He's just going to continue to grow. And I think that's what we're asking of him.
Jamal,
Last question.
following up on Jalen, this summer you and him spent a little bit of time out in Vegas at USA Camp. You talk a lot about his development, but just what did you see from him in those 3 days, and also what did you learn from that experience?
Well, just being around great players and great coaches, you learn a ton. One, there's a level of confidence that comes in when you're around other great players, because you start to see that you belong there and that you can play just the same as some of those guys on the court.
Baby girl, you are so pretty, pretty.